imagine being AJ right now? A lot of pressure too, though. Don't get it twisted. You've got to perform in front of 96,000 of your closest friends.
But mamma mia, Rosie, a social media sensation turned boxer has turned the sport on its ear. This is incredible. And what must be going through this 27-year-old's mind, like so many members of his generation, dealing with mental health issues? Here we go!
The matchup between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua has ignited massive debate across the boxing world. Nearly every professional boxer and analyst leans heavily toward Joshua as the overwhelming favorite. They reference his size, devastating punching power, and elite-level heavyweight experience as the defining factors. Joshua's Olympic gold medal pedigree and history of knocking out world-class opponents give him a staggering advantage. Meanwhile, Jake Paul has shown improvement, defeating MMA fighters and fringe-level boxers, but he has never stood across from a true, seasoned world-class heavyweight. Analysts argue that Paul's only slim chance would be a perfectly timed early punch, something unexpected that could catch Joshua off guard. However, most believe Joshua's sharp jab, disciplined footwork, and calm ring control would neutralize the threat immediately. The majority of professionals predict a one-sided demolition, with Joshua stopping Paul within a few rounds. While many admit the matchup is entertaining from a spectacle standpoint, experts overwhelmingly agree Joshua wins easily.
A few times on it. I mean, there's nothing to report to you that it's close, or there's a lot of hoops to jump through. Of course, AJ is exclusive to DAZN. We also work very closely with His Excellency, and although we have no contract with him, we're in talks for big fights next year, of course, Tyson Fury being one of them. So we'd definitely give him the respect of making sure that he was aware of the plan and, part of that plan as well. But at the moment, there's nothing major to report on that. Would we take the fight? Absolutely. I think Jake would be... I mean, my estimations of Jake Paul would go through the roof if he signs to fight Anthony Joshua, because I just can't believe in my mind that he would do something like that. I mean, Gervonta was a smart one because of his size. I think actually he would have had a lot of success against Jake Paul, but the size is a problem. But this would just be, like if Jake Paul was to take the fight with AJ, you'd really have to maybe carry his balls in a wheelbarrow on the ring walk, because AJ would mess around in there, so it would be huge, but nothing to tell you it's close.
The highly controversial clash between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua is officially scheduled for December 19, 2025, at the massive Casa Center in Miami, with global broadcast rights locked in by Netflix. Importantly, this is not an exhibition fight, it is a fully sanctioned professional heavyweight bout under official Queensberry rules. The match will consist of 8 rounds, each 3 minutes long, with both fighters wearing 10-ounce gloves. In an unusual twist, Joshua has agreed to a contracted weight limit of 245 pounds, much lower than his usual fighting weight, in an attempt to balance the playing field. Both men are putting their professional records on the line. With knockouts fully allowed and a decisive conclusion guaranteed, the stakes and potential consequences are massive.
Happening, Jake Paul will face the 2-time unified heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua on Friday, December the 19th in Miami, Florida. It's going to be an 8-round fight with 3-minute rounds and 10-ounce gloves. It's Joshua's first fight since being knocked out by Daniel Dubois in September last year. Jake Paul won a unanimous decision against veteran Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. earlier this year. Well, Jake Paul said this: a professional heavyweight fight against an elite world champion in his prime. When I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt disappears and no one can deny me the opportunity to fight for a world title. To all my haters, this is what you wanted. To the people of the United Kingdom.
The boxing community, from hardcore fans to seasoned professionals, has reacted strongly to Jake Paul's decision to challenge Anthony Joshua. Many see it as unrealistic, overly ambitious, and bordering on reckless. They argue that while Paul has made waves in the sport, stepping in with a heavyweight of Joshua's caliber is an entirely different world.
the real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, at Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights, then he asked for the toughest fights ever, and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind, you're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP and someone that...
Dave Allen issued an intense warning, stating that Anthony Joshua could actually harm his own reputation by accepting a fight with Jake Paul. Allen believes that if Paul even manages to land a single clean punch, it could damage the legendary legacy Joshua has built over the years. He feels this matchup is driven more by entertainment than actual competition and questions why Joshua would risk fighting someone the boxing world doesn't see as a legitimate challenge. In Allen's eyes, many serious boxing fans would view this as a step backward for Joshua, a move that could cost him respect within the sport.
Lost to Tommy Fury. Anthony Joshua cannot box Jake Paul. Horrific. He's dangerous for one, and two, if Jake Paul even lands a glove on him, it just diminishes everything that he's achieved. Jake Paul won't last 2 minutes for me. Never mind Anthony Joshua. It's ridiculous. It's a joke.
If AJ does say yes to going in against Jake Paul, does he harm his legacy?
I would lose a bit of respect for him. I think a lot of boxing people would as well, to be honest. Why would he box him? 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, one of the best heavyweights in the last 20 years, held British boxing on his back. People might say he deserves to box Jake Paul. But why though? Why would he do it?
Did you lose respect for him when he fought in Ngannou? Did you lose respect for Fury when he fought in Ngannou?
Ngannou's a serious fighting man. World champion of mixed martial arts.
It's a worrying thing, potentially, the damage that AJ could do to Jake Paul.
He'll hurt him. Yeah, Jake Paul is a cruiserweight. You wouldn't put the Midlands area cruiserweight champion in with Anthony Joshua, so why would you put Jake Paul in there? Just because he's a superstar? Whatever, I don't know what he does. What does he do? What is he?
A YouTuber.
It's just not worth it. He's got enough money as it is. Why risk all that for a few more quid? I don't like it.
Roy Jones Jr. has also shared his thoughts, pushing back against the idea that Jake Paul has the skill to become a legitimate world champion. Jones admits that Paul is improving but insists he has avoided true, battle-tested boxers. If Paul steps in with highly experienced fighters at the top level, Jones predicts they would defeat him convincingly. While he believes Paul may eventually get a title shot, he says it would only happen under extremely favorable circumstances. Jones remains doubtful that Paul will ever walk away with a real championship belt.
Will become a world champion?
No.
Why?
I think if they make him fight tough opponents, guys with experience, those guys will beat him. Now, if you get somebody like myself at the end of their career, or somebody like Tyson, when he caught at the end of their career, the chances are much higher. Because now it becomes more of a 50-50. You got a guy who's better than him, but the age factor. You understand me? And that's the only way to balance it for him to make it a 50-50 fight. Somebody who's on his level at the same age, those guys have too much experience. You understand me? So he's not going to beat those guys. But you find a guy who is past his prime, who has a mentality further than his, but past his prime, it kind of...
Anthony Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, has repeatedly dismissed Jake Paul's skill level, calling him an average fighter. According to Hearn, Jake might be improving, but he is nowhere near capable of competing with an elite heavyweight like Joshua. He insists that the gap is too wide technically, physically, and mentally.
For the sport of boxing?
Yes, I know these guys. They're unbelievably bright. I mean, Logan, much brighter than Jake, in my opinion. But Jake's smart.
Okay.
We have our ups and downs.
Yeah.
I respect Jake. I actually respect him in a boxing sense as well. But we fell out because I told him he was average. That's actually a compliment. Like, to be an average fighter, coming to this kid who's 26, 27, decides to go into boxing. We had a conversation where he's actually telling me he's going to beat Canelo Alvarez. And I'm looking around for cameras. I'm thinking, am I Mike Tucker?
Eddie Hearn further highlighted Jake Paul's outrageous claims, like his statement that he could beat Canelo Alvarez. Hearn called the idea insane, saying that Paul is drastically overestimating his abilities. While Paul has beaten former MMA fighters and inexperienced boxers, the notion that he could challenge elite fighters like Canelo or Joshua is viewed as laughable by many experts.
Looks like Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul might be in discussions to fight. They were both on a call to each other earlier, and the viral video went round of Jake Paul saying he would knock out Anthony Joshua. If I'm being completely honest, I think Jake Paul would actually be lucky to make it out alive, and like, I'm actually being dead serious. Like, I think Jake Paul would be lucky to make it out of the ring with Anthony Joshua alive. Tyron Woodley literally had Jake Paul on skates and had Jake Paul panicking for his life. Imagine what Anthony Joshua would do. Look at what Joshua did to the last non-boxer he fought in Francis Ngannou. That is not going to end well for Jake Paul. But look, let's be real here. This fight should never happen. It's an absolute disgrace to the sport if it does. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of backlash if this actually happens, because it's actually probably worse to the sport of boxing than what Fury and Ngannou was when it came around, or, you know, yeah, or Mayweather McGregor.
Outspoken pundit Simon Jordan unleashed a scathing critique of Jake Paul's proposed fight with Anthony Joshua. Jordan argues that the bout is a complete mockery of boxing, a spectacle that cheapens the sport. In his view, Paul is nowhere near legitimate enough to share the ring with a heavyweight icon like Joshua. Jordan believes the fight undermines the sport's integrity and turns a serious contest into a sideshow. He predicts Paul would be destroyed in the ring and says the matchup is dangerous, insulting, and damaging to Joshua's legacy.
Player welfare, he's in a situation where someone's welfare should be considered in the equation, not his financial welfare. But Jake Paul going into a fight with Anthony Joshua, to me, is absurd. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a legitimate two-time heavyweight champion of the world. He may have got destroyed by Daniel Dubois, but notwithstanding, there's nothing physically wrong with Anthony Joshua that he can't execute. Mentally, he might be in a little bit of a difficult position after the loss to Daniel Dubois. Jake Paul, if this is not going to be, curated into a little dance around exhibition, could find himself in a way of getting seriously hurt here, like Francis Ngannou did. Francis Ngannou was an MMA fighter that got blasted out by Anthony Joshua. A fitter, more focused Anthony Joshua than the version we've got now, possibly. But this, to me, is everything that's wrong with boxing. It's a money play, nothing wrong. I don't begrudge Anthony Joshua getting 50 million quid for an easy night's work. That's fantastic returns. Most people would take it. In the boxing world, Jake Paul is now a professional fighter. Whether we categorise him as a YouTuber or not, he's licensed to fight, which means that the governing body should be suggesting that this is not a fight that possibly they should be looking to sanction.
Yeah.
But they will, because the sanctioning fees will be enormous. Anthony Joshua will not lose his legacy like some people are suggesting, because no one will remember it in 2 or 3 years' time. If he embarrasses himself in there, they'll remember it. If he goes in and knocks him out in 30 seconds flat, or turns it into a little bit more of a sort of Jake LaMotta, Raging Paul, holding him up for a few rounds and then knocking him out, then people will forgive it. He'll get a big bag of money, which most people in the world would take, and move on. And then we'll see if he fights anybody meaningful in the year. I mean, it is like sport has become. And what I got my head around on Saturday night was the entertainment value of Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. The fighting of itself, I could be all pious about it, but the entertainment industry is so prevalent in sport now. This is entertainment. This is going to have hundreds of millions of people watching it. Of course. And Anthony Joshua gets paid, and Jake Paul hopefully gets flattened.
Simon, I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right, and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is going to get.
David Benavidez offered a more balanced view, acknowledging that Jake Paul is undeniably one of the biggest names in boxing when it comes to hype, attention, and financial draw. Benavidez admits that while Paul's skills are often criticized, his presence brings excitement, new fans, and business opportunities to the sport.
Guys, I'm Trisha DeWong, and I'm here with David Benavidez. What are you looking forward to the most tonight at Bare Knuckle?
Honestly, this is my first time being at a Bare Knuckle fight, and it's already started amazing. And I'm just here to come to see the gore, the blood, and all that, so it's been living up tonight.
I want to ask you about Jake Paul wanting to fight Anthony Joshua. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good fight. If they can make it happen, then let's do it. You know what I mean? Jake Paul is a big household name. Anthony Joshua, needless to say, he's one of the greatest champions of boxing. So if they can get it done, that'll be a huge fight for boxing. And I said, let's do it.
You were in the talks to fight Stallone. What are your thoughts on that? Is it in the works? When is it happening?
So right now we're trying to negotiate the fight. It might be in the works for September, but we don't know. You know, everything in boxing is not 100%. So we're just going to keep trying to negotiate the fight. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But
veteran heavyweight Derek Chisora fiercely criticized the idea of Jake Paul receiving a WBC ranking. Chisora called it disrespectful to genuine boxers who sacrifice, grind, and fight for years to climb the rankings. He accused WBC President Mauricio Suleiman of prioritizing money over legitimacy and called the idea a disgrace to boxing. To Chisora, rankings must be earned through real competition, not handed out for clicks, fame, or marketing.
They've said they're going to give a cruiserweight ranking to the winner of this fight. Do you think they deserve one?
No, I don't think so. I don't know why. It's hard enough for real athletes, for real boxers to get those rankings, and then suddenly it's Solomon Tuesday decides to give double ranking because he's getting some greens in his, in his back pocket. No,
Lawrence Oakley expressed deep concern about the potential safety risk involved in Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua. Despite previously sparring with Paul and praising his work ethic, Oakley now believes the matchup could be dangerously mismatched. Many boxing professionals agree. Eddie Hearn said the fight is dangerous, very dangerous, while Frank Warren emphasized Joshua's massive physical and technical advantage. Amir Khan delivered the strongest warning, saying Jake Paul could get killed in the ring against Joshua.
You on this nonsense?
Where am I? I can't see it happening. I can't. Although yes, lots of money, so on and so forth. I can't see it. I just can't. It just obviously as someone who's been a unified heavyweight world champion going in against Jake, but it doesn't. Yeah, and it's like I'm also talking from a health and safety factor. It's like he's maybe a cruiserweight. Yeah. Anthony Joshua's a very big, strong heavyweight, and if he turns it on, it's not just a risk of a knockout. It's a much bigger risk. So I can't see it.
Former world champion Carl Froch doesn't take Jake Paul seriously as a boxer at all. Froch claims Paul doesn't truly know how to box and simply bounces around the ring. After watching Paul's performance against Tommy Fury, Froch labeled it a complete mismatch and said Paul is nowhere close to becoming a legitimate contender.
They take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, he stands up straight and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, there's just so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, it was a professional, it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced, he's got no amateur pedigree, he's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level, and then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds.
MMA fighter Darren Till has also commented, calling Jake Paul's call-out of Anthony Joshua incredibly disrespectful. He believes Paul hasn't earned the right to challenge a boxer of Joshua's level. Jake Paul has also claimed that Joshua has no chin and no skill, comments that have infuriated fans and analysts alike. Considering Joshua's legendary career, including fights against Vladimir Klitschko and Alexander Usyk, many see Paul's comments as pure attention-seeking rather than genuine analysis.
Is it all just, does he actually believe that he can beat Anthony Joshua? Is it all for clout? Is it all just to keep his... I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit disrespectful as well. Like, Anthony Joshua hasn't fucking been a heavyweight world champion, beating all these absolute killers just to get called out by Jake Paul. But look, if Jake Paul believes in himself, then, you can't really fault that. Like, obviously, but sometimes it comes across a bit delusion as well. Because I know for a fact that I'd fight Jake, I'd beat him up easy.
Some boxing insiders argue that the Paul versus Joshua fight undermines the credibility of boxing itself. They see it as part of a disturbing trend where crossover celebrities distort the meaning of the sport. Instead of rewarding elite skills and years of dedication, these fights prioritize social media spectacle over actual competition. They fear that such mismatches degrade the sport's integrity and weaken the respect boxing commands among true fans.
Paul hopefully gets flattened.
Simon, I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. Well, I think boxing damages itself left, right and centre, but I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is...
So the big question remains, is Jake Paul challenging Anthony Joshua a smart strategic move or a massive, potentially career-ending risk?